Dom here from Essential RC. Thanks for tuning in for flight test. And this is part 2 of my look at FMS SyncPilot, this FPV head tracking system that's been developed by FMS in partnership with XF Robot. You may have seen, I hope you've seen, my previous video, the first video that I did on SyncPilot, where I unboxed it and I put it together. Basically the head tracker, which I put on top of my goggles 2, DJI goggles 2, the gimbal which holds the FPV camera, in my case DJI 03, the air unit or VTX video transmitter which goes in the mount that they provide in the kit, and the cooling fan as well. So that whole frame, and this whole frame, 2-axis gimbal with the servos. So you have to have the FPV system. FMS do not provide that. You can go with DJI 03, 04, or you could go with a Cadex walk snail system. Now this is goggles L, which actually does have its own head tracker, not compatible with this system. But what you would do is you'd have these goggles with, say, a moonlight camera, the walk snail moonlight camera, integrate that into the specific VTX mount that FMS provide, the same gimbal actually, and then put the head tracking unit that I've got on top here onto the top of the goggles L. Now, what else is really nice is, because FMS are doing this, they've also obviously thinking about adapting their kits. So this is the 18mm EDF BAE Hawk in red arrow scheme that they've had out for a long time, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It flies really, really nice. And what they've done is provided a modified design for the canopy, so that you can easily screw the 2-axis gimbal and the VTX mount into it. Slightly different. Also comes with the clear canopy, but from experience of flying FPV, I've cut away the transparent plastic because it does obscure the view to a certain extent, not really, really badly. But if you're like me and you want the absolute best view, then it's best not to have anything between the camera and the outside world. So cut that away. Very easy to do, takes 5 to 10 minutes with a Sharpie. And I think it looks okay because I've still left that part of the frame in place. So even to, you know, if you were an onlooker, somebody watching it fly, if you were flying it line of sight, it still looks good. Now the other things that I picked up for this second video is that the standard cable between the 03 FPV camera and the VTX, the standard one, is not long enough to cope with the degree of rotation, yaw or panning that you'll want from that servo. So you'll need to buy the longest one. I think it's probably 20 centimeters, 15 or 20 centimeters, and fit that so that it does give you unrestricted movement. What's the other thing I wanted to say? Ah yes, the other thing, really do test this on the ground first before you fly, and make sure you test it with the VTX in full power mode. Why is that? Because you want to check that the VTX does not interfere with the receiver, for the head tracking system or the 2 servos that are here. Now, first of all, I did get that. I got, what you do get is drift with the panning servo, is what I had. And I had to make sure the receiver for the head tracker was as far away as possible from the VTX. So it's right up here at the front, and I don't get that anymore. So that's one thing to be careful of. The other thing is that you're putting this equipment at the front here, so it will change your CG. Now I've only got 6S 5000 packs. If you were using a 4000 pack, you'd probably be okay. But because I'm using a 5000 pack, and that's all I've got, with this equipment at the front, I've had to put some lead at the back to make sure it's reasonably on the centre of gravity. And The CG is very important with jets. Don't kid yourself that it's not. You don't want it too far forward because it won't rotate on takeoff. You don't want it too far back, because if it's too far back, it'll be very pitchy when you're flying it, and I think that's the worst situation to be in with a jet of any type. So, ready to go. Wish me luck.
Okay, here we go. Taxiing out. I don't know which way I should be taking off today. The wind is literally everywhere, and you see the trees off to the right. The wind comes off those and just curls around it. That's a nightmare. But I've been flying in the wind in England. England is a windy place, and you'd never fly if you waited for a 0 wind day. We don't have very many of them. All right, so here we go, ready to take off. Final checks. And throttling up. Here we go, 100%, and rotate. All good, feels good. So, why do I use a flight controller? You see all this great telemetry that I've got, but of most interest is the speed. I've got the actual real-time speed and the max speed at the top left, and then top right I've got the altitude. So this model probably doesn't go more than 100 miles an hour flat out, maybe 110, maybe push it to 120 out of a dive, but fast pass, and I'm doing about 95 miles an hour. I'm just going to stay pretty flat and level for this flight. You know, so I've got the artificial horizon, that helps. And I'm in acro mode. Bottom right, bottom center is the flight mode, and that means I've got gyro stabilization turned on. What about all this great telemetry in the left? So you see my throttle position, the top, and then below that I've got my G meter. Cruising at about 80% throttle. Then I've got my status of my flight pack in the middle left. Nice low pass, about 10 feet. Gimbal working really well. Pulling up to about 70 amps. You can see the volts on the pack, and the average cell voltage. Don't want to go below 3.5. You can see the values flash when I'm going below the alarm level. But I know I get about 5 minutes flight time out of this battery in this model. Really is windy today. You can see how it's being banged around. It wouldn't be fun unless it was challenging. Okay, final turn. Let's do a gear pass. Crosswind. Sometimes the wind varies, just have to pick the right moment. Alright. Penultimate turn. Turning in. Easing off the throttle. Oh, this is... No. Bailing out of that. And going to full power, and we'll try again. Never try and make a landing out of a poor approach. Always ends in disaster. If there's anything I've learned over 25-30 years of flying RC, that's one thing. And this time I'm trying full flaps. Wind's died off a little bit, even in those few seconds. Alright, better approach this time. More drag from those flaps. Try and keep the wings level. Flare, and I'm down. One bounce. I'll take that. And taxi back to the pits. So when I disarm the flight controller, at the end of the flight, when I'm on the ground, I get these really nice stats. So I get my total flight time, nearly 6 minutes. Flight distance in total was 3.5 miles. Max distance from home was 987 feet, which I mean, that's I wouldn't have wanted to fly any further away than that. Maximum speed 102 miles an hour, average of 36. I think this, stall speed of this model is probably just above 30 miles an hour. Certainly come in at about 35 to 40 miles an hour, I think, for landing. Maximum altitude 266 feet. I'm fortunate to fly a model flying club that has unrestricted altitude, but obviously we need a spotter for full-size aircraft. Minimum volts. Didn't want to really go below 3.5, 3.47, so not bad. Maximum amps, 75 amps on a full throttle pass, no doubt. Milliamp hours used. Average efficiency, the minimum RSSI I've got there as well. And what else is interesting? The maximum and minimum G-force. So maximum G-force was nearly 5G. That would be uncomfortable if you were sitting in this jet. It would be uncomfortable. On a later flight, I pulled 8, I think. So I'd probably pass out. I'd probably pass out if that happened. But there you go. Really happy with that. Let's take it back to the bench.
So that flight footage was a combination of my first 2 flights using FMS SyncPilot. No glitches. Worked pretty well. The funny thing is, when you're flying a fast jet particularly, you're not going to be looking side to side, and certainly not behind you that much, if at all. You're really focused on what's in front of you. Maybe when you slow down on your final approach to the runway, on that before that final turn, you're going to glance left to make sure you're going to put that final turning at the correct time. But otherwise, you would have seen me do 45 degrees looks left and right, but that was it. But it worked pretty well, I have to say. It is, and they do make very clear, the range of this system in RC aircraft is no more than 2 kilometres. And for surface vehicles, it's about 1 kilometre. It's a relatively low power signal that's being sent to the receiver in the model. So be wary of that. Now, that's fine if you in Europe. Certainly you have to have a spotter who's visually can see the model to make sure you're not going out of visual line of sight, and keeping an eye out for full-size aircraft as well that you should not be interfering with. So that's no problem, because visual range, if you were flying this line of sight, your visual range to keep control of it is probably 0.5 kilometre, if that. Maybe I've flown fast turbine jets, it might be a little bit more than that, but generally it's no more than 0.5 kilometre. So that's okay. It's certainly not for long range FPV, so don't bother trying it with long range FPV. It's not designed for that. So what else to say? The weather conditions today, absolutely horrible, and I thought I was quite brave to come down and fly it today, because 15-20 mile an hour crosswind across the runway, and raining quite a lot of the time. But I was quite desperate to get this done and out the door for FMS, who are lovely people to work with and are very generous in sending me some of their gear for me to test here in England. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was instructional, the 2 videos that I've done. I really do hope that they do more of these design modified canopies, so it's more easier for us keen FPV pilots, fixed wing FPV pilots, to put the gimbal and the VTX into, because I've done it with other FMS models, the A10 for example, and you have to do a lot of modification to achieve that. So it would be really nice if they did that for us, and it's quicker to get the aeroplane, the jet, the warbird into the air. I mean, God, could you please do it for the P-51? That'd be really nice. But yeah, really solid, using DJI 03. You can use 04. They have the VTX mount for that specifically, and also for Cadak's Walk Snail as well. Maybe the Moonlight or the Avata. And of course using Radio Master TX16S, fantastic radio. I use it for absolutely everything, and I'm using a Maytech flight controller in here as well, the 743 wing, I think, with iNav 8.0.1. So I'll show you more about that in future videos, but thanks as always for watching. Appreciate it. I only run this channel because I enjoy RC so much. Don't do it for any other reason. Do it more for myself than anyone. Keeps me sane. So please subscribe if you enjoy what I do. It'd mean a lot to me. See you next time, everybody. Bye.